Okay, we just called the planning meeting to order March 4th, 2024 at 5:18. And we're gonna just move item 4 ahead so that we can talk to AJ about any concerns we have about the proposed local law, which is approved by the common council. Does anybody have questions for AJ before we move ahead with this? Anything you wanted to ask him or concerns with, or? By the way, if we do have questions, he's gonna be on the phone. We can call him.
I guess my only question was, does it open up for the head shop? Does that mean that they can go anywhere? I mean, it was a week ago, and I got that.
I think it was general business, right? They're allowed in general business.
Yeah, so 2 years ago, common council passed a local law restricting their presence in districts other than GB1.
Okay.
And this is to make a kind of technical clarification that ties in to a different non-zoning local law that the common council adopted at its last meeting.
So they're looked at as the same as the distribution, like we got down at East River, whatever, Riverside Drive.
Yeah, so it's intended to cover both retail cannabis dispensaries as well as, what we think of as head shops. Like in part putting in a definition of head shop and clarifying the chart that you see there. Permitted and prohibited.
So we're just making a distinction between the two. That's what we're trying to do here.
AJ, are you on? Are we recording?
Yep. Can you hear me okay, Annie?
No.
Hang on 1 second.
The thought of it goes on our.
Let's try this one more time. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And I did hear Andy's remarks about what's being contemplated here tonight. As he said, and Roy, feel free to jump in whenever you want. But the common council did pass a local tobacco retail licensing law a couple of months ago, and somewhat related, somewhat unrelated. But New York State allows us to do that just to kind of regulate how many shops are allowed to sell that. And as I'm sure that everyone's noticed, we have had a handful of establishments pop up around the city in that respect. But ultimately, this comes on the tail of the legalization of marijuana, and we had attempted to, City of Cortland didn't opt out, which is how it works. So we do have a cannabis dispensary going in the GB1 district over by PNC, which is where we regulated it to in the first instance. But given the new tobacco law, we wanted to make sure that we're doing everything right and everyone is checking every single box. So we pushed this back through the county planning process, which is, as you folks know, something that we need to do with respect to zoning for general municipal law purposes. And they recommended just to kind of make that distinction between what a head shop is, which is something that could definitely be subject to the tobacco retail license law, selling paraphernalia and the like that could be used for marijuana purposes or otherwise, to that district moving forward, and to keep the cannabis dispensaries and valid licensees to that area as well. So that's what we're doing here. Doesn't really change the scheme necessarily. It just clarifies, I think, and it is helpful. I appreciate the county's recommendations. Head shop could be all encompassing. It's kind of an informal term, but given the legalization, just to make that distinction, like these are the types of shops that could sell stuff that you might see marijuana users use, but they're not necessarily allowed to sell marijuana or cannabis related products. And then obviously cannabis specific dispensaries, which would sell legalized marijuana, kind of keeping it all in that GB1 district. And again, it's just a clarification, like making the distinction between the two. Because we didn't want any confusion that head shops are something that could amount to a head shop, for lack of a better term, thinking that they could legally sell marijuana without checking all the New York State, license boxes. And again, each of these establishments would have to comply with those requirements as well. This is just another, local mechanism to make sure that we're doing things the right way. Go ahead.
So AJ, also to clarify, this new law is also to limit where these places can be in terms of at-risk portions of our community, like churches and.
Right. So that's
schools.
where we're tying in, and I think the text is in there, and I believe you have a red line version versus like what the text, would look like if this were passed by the Common Council with your endorsement. But what the local tobacco retail license law does, and it's just a licensing law, we have that mechanism, but we also have to comply with any New York State thing, and you can't have these new, this has already been vetted. Like what we want to do is make sure that exactly like these at-risk things, youth, schools, things like that. We don't want a bunch of head shops or, cannabis dispensaries necessarily surrounding an elementary school. As an example, I'm not just saying that's going to happen or it's proposed that that's going to happen, but, with the legalization, we're all kind of, taking it day by day. How are we going to regulate this? How are we going to make sure that, our at-risk populations, especially the youth, are safe? And this is one way to do it that a lot of other municipalities have also adopted, who didn't opt out of the dispensary.
Let's put some restrictions on where these places can basically operate, is that what we're saying?
Yep, exactly. Moving forward, and anything that sells paraphernalia related to any smoking, whether it's vaping or any otherwise, like there are a lot of businesses in Cortland, I'm sure you've noticed, that sell these things, and there's been a boom lately. And Cortland is not alone. Again, I think this is a lot of reaction to the legalization of marijuana in New York State. Head shops, quote unquote, have been operating for years under this, under the auspice that these are novelty items or artwork, so to speak, glassware. And given the legalization, we want to make sure that, all these businesses are operating on the up and up. We've had some issues with some in the past. We want to make sure that everyone's licensed, and the tobacco retail license, which is already in place, kind of ties in. So if you sell anything that could give rise to tobacco smoking or marijuana smoking or a vaping product, you have to check all these local boxes as well. Cannabis dispensary is a little different, but we wanted to make the distinction between those two entities. So they know what they need to do at the New York State level and the local level to comply. And for what it's worth, the tobacco retail license legislation, we have so many in the city of Cortland right now. They got to all comply with this new requirement, and it doesn't transfer with the property. So we can kind of help regulate how much of this the community needs, how much of this the community desires, and have, that legislative tool to do just that. Instead of, if it's a whatever commercial district and you have a New York State license from the Office of Taxation and Finance, you can sell products that, smokable products. And given that open-ended kind of rule, coupled with the cannabis legalization, the city of Cortland wanted to be involved in the conversation. We wanted to be able to have a word in that dialogue as to where these things are allowed to be sold. And this kind of gives rise to that. We already had something in place, but I thought it was important, and so did the county, and they did a great job with their recommendations, kind of making those two distinctions so there is no confusion. Cannabis versus head shops, which may have cannabis type, paraphernalia, glassware, things of that nature. Just didn't want there to be any confusion. And GB1, it seems to be the district where we can, like the availability moving forward, if any, would be. But again, they would have to check all those compliance boxes first.
So in the head shop description, it does say on sale of controlled substances, but I'm assuming that's all regulated by New York
So,
State.
right, so that actually came up at the county level and same question. What we wanted to make sure, and again, honestly, that's the reason that the distinction between dispensary and head shop is recommended. We don't want anyone come back and saying, well, you didn't say that we couldn't sell this, you know? And controlled substances, whatever, like, you know, whatever New York State classifies those are, and marijuana is a type 1 controlled substance, you know, you have to get all those other licensing requirements to do that. Just because it says that there, that means that ultimately, if they're selling a controlled substance, whatever that is, and that's a scary term, that you don't have a license for. And a controlled substance might be, and you know, don't quote me on this, but maybe it's CBD oil. I don't think that's the case. But we don't want someone to sell something like we had a big problem with Delta 8, you know, synthetic marijuana being illegally sold. You think that you're allowed to sell something like that, you got to get a license to. And if it's not a licensable product or an illegal product, we're taking you down, more or less. This just gives us the mechanism to make sure that everything that's sold is legal, everything that's sold is safe, and everything that's sold is taxed. We just didn't want there to be any loophole for someone to say, we're selling this, you didn't tell us we couldn't. Which is kind of why these two terms, you know, are a catch-all for us and will help us regulate.
Let's check with Roy and see if there's anything he wants to add, just while you're still on the line. Is there anything you want to add to what AJ?
AJ hit the nail on the head.
Right.
That's, so AJ, just quickly to clarify, existing, I hate to use the word grandfather businesses under this law would still be required to get a local license as long as they don't, well, yeah, there's somebody.
Yeah, if they're selling a product that triggers the local tobacco retail license rules, or they're selling a product that triggers New York State licenses on any level, they would still have to comply with that. And you know, if they aren't, the city can step in and we don't have to wait for other intervention, which is helpful. You know, if we see a problem, we can do something about it instead of just phoning it in and waiting to see if something happens.
Also, just so you guys are aware, there has been instances where these type of establishments, now not all, there's many of them locally that are on the up and up. They don't sell anything to minors. You know, they've been around for a long time. So I don't want to lump them all into the same group. But there are a few out there who have been in trouble, and that trouble has filtered down to other things.
Exactly right. So like with the local tobacco retail license, and I urge you guys to take a look at that. It's pretty inclusive. Syracuse has done something very similar. A lot of municipalities have done this, and the goal here was to tie those things in because a lot of these businesses sell products, similar products. You know, just because you sell one thing doesn't mean that you're not selling another. You need whatever licensing mechanisms in place for individual products. And if they're doing something wrong on any level of this, the city has the means, you know, to enforce their rules. And it just gives us a little more authority to intervene. But nope.
Does anybody else in the planning commission have a comment or concern for AJ or Roy? All right, can I have a motion to approve agenda item number 4, the review and recommendation of the proposed zoning amendment relating to regulation of cannabis dispensaries and related retail establishments? Okay, motion. Second? Second. Further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Thanks, AJ. Thanks for your input. All right, let's go on to agenda item number 1. the minor subdivision of 5759 Greenbush Street. And I believe the owner of 57 is here.
59.
I'm sorry, 59, I'm sorry, 59. You want to tell us what you want to do? I mean, we kind of got a write up on it, but maybe,
Yeah, I just want to annex the backyard of 57 and the barn,
okay,
restore the barn that's there and add it to my lot. Mine is owner occupied. That makes a difference.
okay. Is the owner of the other property here?
He is not, he did, give me something to talk on his behalf. Howard Indy.
Some of the diagrams are kind of hard to read, so I mean, so basically you're just looking for the back end of his lot combining with your property, is that the idea?
Yes. Exactly. I have some extra photos too.
Does that leave 57 on enough parking?
Yeah, it doesn't change the driveway. We have a shared driveway, it doesn't change that. It's beyond the end of the driveway. Are you gonna separate that somehow?
And then you're gonna keep that barn?
Yes.
There?
Yep. Sure.
So you're not gonna separate it, you're gonna keep that barn there, just kind of have access, you would just want access?
Yes. And I have access through the rear of my
Your property currently.
garage to all of that property.
No, I have to be. Gonna do it by today, so take a look. Look at it next.
Jim, you want to see that?
Yeah, access from my side. This would be, it's left of it.
Can't see it.
Right.
That's the little alleyway.
They will, yeah.
Yeah.
You plan to leave your barn there as well?
Yes.
If this is your access to.
I'm just gonna fix that up and use it for storage. This is.
Making a crazy lot configuration. Roy, do you have any concerns with that at all? No?
No, with the county, I looked at it, I mean, he's got a ton of area variances, the neighbor did too, so. They went through all the hoops they had to do it.
Yeah, is there anyone here that'd like to speak on this, consolidation? Consolidation, yeah. Pros or cons, no? Any further comments from the board? Any questions? All right, can I have a motion to approve, agenda item number 1, the minor subdivision of 5759 Greenbush Street? Oh, that motion from Chris, second. Seconded, John. By further discussion. All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. All right, motion carried. All right, good luck. Thank you. That's something for you. You can use this picture.
Tommy,
You don't need these.
I need 2 new surveys as soon as possible.
All right, agenda item number 2. This is an extension of a previous approved site plan review for 213 Tompkins Street. Is Mr. Witt here? Or Mrs. Witt, good enough. You want to tell us a little bit about why we need more time on this? I guess it'd be my question.
Okay, I'm just gonna try to make this brief. I had a health scare and my mother unexpectedly passed away.
Okay,
So we had a little bit of,
upheaval.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So how much more time are we looking at, like 6 months, a year, or
I think by the end of the year we'll be
end of
fine.
the year you should be done?
Mhm.
Okay.
Joe,
Yeah,
I've been going, right. I kind of slow things down because of what she's saying, but I've been there doing all the required interior inspections, they've been working with me. So everything looks good.
Okay.
They're just a little bit behind schedule.
sure.
When is the current timeline end? Is it June, July?
Until July of 2023, it looks like.
It did,
Yeah, I think it's married.
so.
What they're looking for is to get it into,
So the previous one that expired, you're looking to extend, I thought I got extended.
oh, they got, I'm sorry, they got it January
Till the end
31st,
of the
I'm sorry,
year.
end of January 31st, 2024. So it actually, we didn't have a meeting in
Right,
just
okay.
now.
Yeah, so.
So let's see if we can get extended till, you'd say the end of the calendar year, like December 31st.
Yeah, that would be great.
Does that sound reasonable to you guys?
Definitely.
All right, Is that all right with you? All right, so let's have a motion to approve the site plan extension for 213 Tompkins Street until December 31st of 2024. Can I have a motion to that effect? Mike,
I'll second it.
Tony, it's a second. Further discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, motion carried. All right, good luck.
I'll have you sign a piece of paper here.
All right, well, he's getting that under order. We'll look at agenda item 3. This is, all right, this is the one I thought we were gonna look at first, 16 Owego Street.
So if you need Mr. Barton, I can get him on the phone, he's having trouble accessing Zoom.
Yeah,
As far as the main concern you guys had with the shared driveway, Mr. Steele is here, you can answer that. On behalf of Mr. Barton.
we had done this before, like you said, there was something we did in the.
Yeah, we've done this one 2 or 3
A
times.
couple times.
But before he was remodeling, and now it looks like he's tearing down and building a whole new building.
Oh, yeah, he's tearing down, he's torn down.
It's down.
Oh, this is
Okay.
has a lot.
He- So
What they approved.
tearing down the building was part of the mayor's initiative when he took office.
Okay.
Mr. Barton worked with us to get that building tore down almost immediately after it sat there for 10 years.
Yeah,
And so we applaud Mr. Barton for that. But now he wants to put up a new 2-family structure.
So I know in the, previously, the neighbor was very concerned, and he's not here tonight, I'm assuming. Anyone here to talk about?
I can get home. He's on a job out of town, but that's.
The neighbor?
The neighbor.
No,
Oh, the neighbor.
the neighbor, person doing the job.
Mr. Barton's out of town. Neighbors not here. What was their concern?
Well, I was wondering, I know that the neighbor in the past had that shares the driveway, is that the same neighbor?
Sure.
Oh, okay. So that's your shared driveway? Okay.
If you have any questions about that, you can ask him.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any concerns about the shared driveway? I guess that's what I'd like to know,
Sure.
just from my point of view. You're okay with what's,
Concerns about the shared driveway?
yeah, I mean, are you okay with what he's proposing?
Yeah, I prefer him.
You wish he was here probably, right?
So you just said what,
To do that because with him putting a building with students on that side
Right,
and a shared driveway, that with us, that's gonna be a real problem.
okay.
So what we agreed is I have a curb cut on the
Right,
right
on the
hand
other
side of the
side,
building.
right.
That was put in
Right.
many years ago.
Okay.
And so we're gonna just pull out our half of the driveway and turn it into grass.
Okay,
And we will put our driveway in the
on the
right
other
hand
side of the
side.
house, right.
And
So
we will
it doesn't change the percentage of the areas can be blacktop, you're just sliding your driveway to the right side of the building. And for, like you said, you're making grass out of the left side.
Correct.
Joe, excuse me, Mr. Barton's on the phone.
Okay.
If you needed him.
I think he's on now.
All right, Mr. Barton, can you hear us?
And
Is he unmuted?
Mr. Barton doing that as part of the renovation, will do those upgrades for you, or are you doing that on your own time?
We haven't
Okay.
worked that out, but we both have equipment, so it's not a big deal.
All right.
We're working on it.
That's okay.
Could you repeat what that, solution that you referenced was about the curb cuts?
Okay, you should be good, sorry.
Yeah, on the right side of our property, there is an existing curb cut that the prior owner had put in there when they redid the street many years ago. So all we're gonna do is pull out our half of the driveway on the left-hand side, turn it into grass, and then switch the driveway to the right-hand side.
Right, that makes sense. That way you won't have to monkey
That,
with
that way we don't have to
Right.
deal with,
the
all the
student house
traffic.
or student, yeah, driveway and stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Plus, if you look in the corner,
Mhm.
Look at it, yeah.
Iridium Properties owns basically that whole corner.
And that's that's your property, or what
Yes,
were
it
you
is.
talking about? Okay, all right. Okay, so you're not the same owner that was here last time, that was.
I think you're referring to the folks that
Okay,
were,
yeah, that's what.
they're on the
There was no-
left-hand side. of
There's
the
no
property.
driveway on the other side.
Okay, all right, so that should.
No, the shared driveway, there was whoever that owner was at the time was very concerned.
Yeah, this is going back a long time, though. This is like years ago. I think.
Oh, yeah, that's,
I think their concern was the driveway was gonna be put on the left-hand side.
Right,
Of
right.
the bottom property, and they didn't want, that,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's
okay.
not, so. they
This
don't-
kind of makes sense.
That I'm aware of.
All
but
right.
I think what they're saying is you haven't owned that house. How long have you owned that house? Couple years, 5 years, 10 years?
5, maybe, I.
Yeah, it's probably 5 years, so
Yeah.
you saw that, yeah, back,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So that's, at one point, that's probably what you're talking.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's what we saw. All right, Mr. Barton, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, is there anything you want to tell us about your, plan here?
Do you have any questions? I've tried to lay it out. So it kind of just makes sense from reading it. I don't know what else I could tell you.
I mean, you've been to county planning, you've been to the ZBA, it looks like that, you know, everything's, all the Ts have been crossed and the Is have been dotted. I guess we just wanted to hear from you if there's anything you wanted to add to this application.
I don't think so. Roy, have I been through everything?
Yeah, I believe you have. So this is gonna be, noted improvement to the neighborhood to what was there in the past, so I believe this is needed, obviously need housing. Right, I don't. I mean, obviously, I don't care who we rent to, I'm just saying we need housing in the city.
Right.
So. As much housing as we can get, that's legal,
Mhm.
the city's all for it.
And a two-family is okay where this property is?
Absolutely.
Is he gonna have enough parking for two families?
Yeah, he actually got approved for more parking than he needs, one of the area variances he got was for more parking.
Gotcha, all right. What about the, vegetative strip, right? Isn't that what we
Yeah,
wanted to ask
the
about?
4-foot vegetative strip on
That's
your
right.
side. You get an area variance for that.
He
And the
has
back.
area here. What about the rest of the property? You're gonna be able to put a little vegetation or trees or shrubs or stuff around there to kind of spruce it up a little bit? Mr. Barton?
Yeah, I believe we'll be given, Roy, just, unless it's on the, Roy, I don't even know if it was on that plan or not, but
It was not, John, but like I told him, you just need to follow, when I do get the final set of plans, you just need to put on there some landscaping and vegetation that complies with our local ordinance, that's all.
yeah, I definitely would like it to look nice. You know, a nice new house with some nice landscaping around it, not just a nice house sitting on grass, you know?
And the lighting can't be intrusive to the neighbors either.
No, I think it'd be, just a light over each front door and a light over each back door.
Gotta make sure that back parking lot is lit up too.
Okay, yeah, that's not a problem.
So I had a question about, from our notes, it mentioned the ZBA approval, the variance approvals from 2015, I think it was. Did they reapprove it or they,
No, that, so once you get an area variance, it's yours to keep. And it is.
I don't agree with that.
Okay, I guess we can ask AJ about that, but
Cause it's a different project.
It is, but
One was an area variance for an existing house on a lot.
so,
They wanted.
but he had to expand the parking and it was kind of just along the same lines as he has now. I get what you're saying. But because he was already approved, it was rear setback, it was a rear anyway, the two he had fell right in line with this, or I would have made him get.
Well, so I mean, one of the problems I think with this is it's a very big house for a small lot. I still think that's an issue. It's close, it's close to the road. It's. Which, I mean, it's much closer to the road than the old house was.
But we've reduced, the front porches that were on the other house. There won't be any on this house. So it's in the same spot as far as the footprint goes.
I'm having trouble hearing you, but you're saying this is no closer to the road than the old house was?
No, there used to be porches on that old house, so we've eliminated those porches.
And that's why I don't think you. And what's the front yard setback?
25 feet, he was given a 13-foot area variance.
But that's on an existing house.
No, that was on the new one.
What? We've never seen the new one.
It's,
I understand that. He got the area variances based on the drawings he had from.
So they did get a variance since for this specific project.
Yes, they did.
think they did.
yeah, there's a lot plan.
The only two that I didn't make him get was the
4-foot buffer was one, or he didn't need,
minimum lot size, which he already had, because that didn't change, okay?
right?
And the minimum lot width, which also didn't change. So we had those two previously in 2015. So because that didn't change, I didn't make him get new ones this time. I did, however, because the dimensions of the house changed. He got an area variance for
From
minimum
ZBA.
front yard, minimum side yard, and maximum lot coverage. Based on the new plans.
Now, some of these forms don't look like they were signed. Have they since been signed since we got these things? Well, I don't know, just, there's like things that say you should be something, people should be signing these things, your applicant and stuff. I just wanna make sure everything's probably looks like,
Yeah,
there's a couple over here, like these two things right here. There's one back there, they're signed or dated.
oh, that's a demo.
Oh, that demolition, okay, all right, so that must have been done, and we just got old copies or something. Okay.
So I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, I just wanna
So
make sure.
all those area variances that were granted with the exception of the lot size and the lot width
Right,
are all based on the new building.
okay.
Or based on the drawings. we sent. And I didn't feel he needed new area variance since the
This one was.
lot size didn't change and the lot width really didn't change.
Any other comments, concerns, questions?
But I also have a question about the parking, because there's an area, is that all gonna be repaved?
6.
Or is it already paved? And you're just gonna mark out spots on what's there?
And John,
Yeah, so there's already 2 concrete parking spots, and then from what I understand, that has to be a non-permeable surface. So is that right, Roy? Has to be paved?
previous, yes. So it has to be paved with concrete.
Yep, that's what Roy and I have discussed, that's what has to happen.
So he'll end up with 6 spots, it looks like on this diagram, when you set it up. 3 right behind the building and 3 kind of off to the side.
Well, the ones, the neighbors.
Oh, that's right, that's your spot, right? Ezeal? So he's got 5 spots basically. for 2 units.
He's got 5, but he's only allowed 4 and some weird decimal point, so. He's got enough, he only needs 2 per unit, so he's got more than enough.
Well, okay. Yeah, the 3 of us, I mean, Jim, Chris and I have seen this before. I just want to make sure that the other 2 new people didn't have any questions for this project before we make any kind of motions. Do the new guys?
So it is showing, so the other, I mean, it has a front porch, right? The one picture here is the front with the front porch. And it's not showing that on the drawing, so that's gonna be even closer to the road.
I don't know if that, well, that's the width of the building. This is gonna be 12.5 feet from the corner. Or is that, I can't read this.
So
I can't read that from the access now.
So 13.
front,
They're back 13 feet from the house to the sidewalk, it looks like.
Yeah,
so we're at, I mean, the house is actually going to be like 6 feet from the sidewalk.
Yeah, if you include the front landing and the steps down.
I think it's, to me, I think it's too big of a house for the lot. I mean, I would like to see this, something done with this. I'm glad the old place is torn down, but it just seems like we're trying to cram in too much on a small lot. Are there options to make this footprint smaller? Maybe put bedrooms in the basement, or?
When you're talking a sprinkler system and stuff, you're talking about increased costs, sure. That's not to me, though, it's something. But bedrooms on the 3rd floor too.
So if there's a basement and 2 stories, that requires a sprinkler also?
I don't know without looking at whatever his final plan can be, this require me. Something me to use it.
Oh, that's like those, 2 pieces, yeah, with all golf course.
Hey, John. John, they are correct. Those new pictures you sent has a front porch and a landing, and the pictures I based the thing on doesn't have a front porch on it.
Oh, okay.
You're
Yeah,
gonna have to move, you're gonna have to move that back. I mean, you can, I'm looking at that parking that you have, so you can move that building back and still get that, you can get more of a setback.
Yeah, he's got some space there.
If-
The one drawing we have shows 4 parking spots plus 1 on the neighbors. And the other drawing shows 5. 5 plus 1.
yeah, 5.
Is it 5 or 4, John?
5.
This was proposed in this middle of December right here, these 3 and these 2.
Those 2.
So if you move it back,
So I mean,
Roy's saying if you move this back, you'll still have enough space here for that.
or you could go with 4 parking places.
Yeah.
Or go 4.
One, you still have enough to cover the 2 units, and still
You
have
have to do
enough
another
front yard, right? It could, you could go
Yeah.
either way, right?
How far does he need to go back based on this?
Well, that's the thing, I mean, he has the area variance from ZBA, right, as far as the variance is concerned?
Yeah, but it's for that 13 feet, like he was saying, if he puts that porch on
Porch
there,
on.
Yeah.
like on the new drawings, it's gonna, and,
Right.
So he would have to go back and additional, put that porch 7 feet.
or he's gotta move that,
Steps are.
that new
Yeah, so there's,
back to where it's 13.
So
So,
yeah, the porch got to go back far enough so you still have 13 feet for the.
hey, John,
We have room for that, right? If we move it back to accommodate those
yeah,
steps?
you just gotta move the parking space back a little bit.
4'2".
So you
Okay.
just gotta make it so that the front step comes down 13 feet away from where the area variance was.
What's the side variance? What's the feet that he's allowed? Because he's at 4'2", but if he moves it back, that number's gonna get smaller because the lot is angled.
Yeah.
That's why we did it up in the first place.
Yeah. So,
So I guess the other thing, Roy, is that now that they're going to ZBA first, but that,
They've always went to ZBA first.
well, in the past, we've approved things contingent upon. But like for variances contingent upon, we'd approve it contingent upon an area variance or side. That's true. But the fact that they've approved it doesn't, we're not bound by that,
No, not at all.
right? I mean, it's,
No, if you guys don't like it, you tell them what you need to do and what
I'm
he,
just-
what
so
he needs to do to fix it, or, I mean, we gotta,
I'd like
ultimately,
to,
we need housing in the city. So whatever we need to do to get this fixed and build what we're gonna do.
Was there a change by Mr. Barden to add the porch after this initial design came in?
Yeah, so I just got those plans today. I've been pushing with Mr. Barden to get those new plans. So I just got them recently.
So if the porch was not put in, we'd be in compliance.
Right.
You gotta have interest in building, you gotta have 2 meters of
What was
egress.
he proposing before? Just,
There was just, it just showed the front of the house, was what drawing to show the front of it. So I mean, if he pushes that house back, so that that front step comes down 13 feet. As we still have that 13 feet, but he's right, if we back it up, it's still gonna be that corner of the house.
yeah, Jim, the side 4.2.
So, John, you're gonna have to go back to get another area variance.
Pretty much.
Yeah, okay, if that's what we have to do, then
It's
that's.
just gonna be an updated area variance with some new measurements, that's all you gotta do.
Can they-
Approve it with new area variance being approved by ZBA to compensate for the porch.
Or you gotta build up, but you can't build up, I tell you why you can't build up, because there's a height limitation.
and the three, if it's three, if it was 3 stories, it definitely needs a sprinkler,
Yes,
but you're not sure about the basement.
the basement would have to have, egress windows,
You'd have to have windows and,
window wells, yeah, that would.
John, are you planning on putting a basement in here, or is it gonna be a slab?
No, it's already excavated for a basement. If we move it back and we get that area variance, would you guys be okay with that? Would you accept the plans?
Well, we'd have to get new plans showing it back and,
Or to eliminate one parking place, one of the 5. That still keeps you in compliance.
and eliminate one of the parking places.
Yeah,
So the only new variance you would need if you moved it back is the side yard would change,
Yeah,
probably by a foot or
Couple
2.
feet maybe, yeah, couple feet.
yeah, whatever we have to.
Table it until ZBA approves the area variance, or you can approve it pending ZBA approving the area variance. I guess we could go either way. What do you guys think?
Chris, did you have other concerns about this besides your, because you're.
Well,
stating
I'm,
about the
yeah.
size. It sounds like you have more concerns than just what we're talking about.
it's a big square box on a very little lot. So,
Yeah, I mean.
the other question I had is, that on the back parking lots, it looks like it would flow better if they were all right in a row, like. So you've got the 3 spaces where the concrete pad is. And then the adjoining parking spots, if they were all parallel, it looks like you could fit. Well, I still only see 5 total, but especially if you're moving the house back.
Yeah, I don't know, that's the way surveyor and I drew it up. I mean, it could be done a variety of ways. Whatever works, you know.
You did, I think it's something you need to table.
We can do that.
Is there, is it required to have, because he's got two forms of egress, right?
Yes,
Is that required
yes,
for a two-story?
yes.
Just or any-
You need, any house needs more than one way out.
Yeah.
So is it possible though, that if you approve the building, we could just get the variance? That back left corner?
They're saying you gotta lose a parking space and then get an area variance for that back left corner. It's probably gonna be instead of what I have. It'll,
So the other problem is if you move things back, then it's going on the southwest corner, it's getting closer to the property line.
Right.
we need a new area variance, obviously, for that.
Yeah.
Probably gonna be, instead of the 5 to 6 feet that you were granted, it's probably gonna be like 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah, originally we were at like 4.1. And then we made some adjustments and we made it bigger, so.
Well, the problem is that the lot plan that's submitted for us to look at and the house plans that are submitted to look at aren't the same thing. They're not the same building. And so we can't really approve or disapprove. It's like we're looking at two different plans. I mean, we can approve the lot plan that's already has the variances, or we can say we need the new proposed plan drawn onto a lot plan.
Right.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we're talking about two different things at the same time.
Good point, John. So do you guys want to go ahead with that then, table it until we get further?
Close the table.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we try to get it, for next month, table until next month, and hopefully we can get new diagrams and a new area variance approved from ZBA. Gonna make that a motion, Tony?
I make that a motion.
All right, can I get a second on that? Seconded, Jim. All right, any further discussion? All right, all those for, tabling item number
Gary, thank you.
3 on John Gardner's property on Wego Street, pending, number 1, new site plans, and number 2, area variance from the ZBA. Can I get a motion for approval? Any opposed? All right, motion carried. So we'll hopefully see that next month.
Yes.
All right, the last thing we have on our agenda is our minutes from the December meeting. Believe it or not, guys, we haven't met since December. I know it seems like we just got here, but
Not gonna lie, there's probably not minutes in all of those books. I forgot to print those.
that's all right. I printed. these
I got
out,
mine,
so,
we'll see.
If anybody wants to look at them,
They
I
look,
did print the agenda and the minutes. I mean, they're pretty
yeah,
straightforward.
they look,
Not a lot of gobbledygook who's not there.
I'm good at avoiding conflict.
That's good, good. All right, can I get a, motion to approve the minutes from our December 18th meeting, 2023? Motion, Chris, second.
I'll second it.
Tony, all right, further discussion? All those for in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Adjourn the meeting at, 6:07. And then we'll get through 4 things.